How far would you go to reach the end of the world? Imagine traveling 6,300 miles across a single continent, only to find a city that looks like Europe, but breathes the air of the Pacific. This is Vladivostok. It is a place of iron and fog, a fortress built on the edge of a jagged peninsula where the Russian soul meets the Asian tide. Have you ever wondered what happens when an empire decides to plant its flag at the absolute limit of its reach? In this city, 9,288 kilometers from the capital, history is not a memory, it is a living, breathing struggle. Over 600,000 people call this rugged coastline home, living in a landscape of 7 bridges and endless hills. This is the story of the ruler of the East. It is a story of gold, blood, and the freezing salt of the Sea of Japan. Before we dive into the secrets of this Pacific gateway, hit the subscribe button and join us as we explore the most enigmatic corners of our planet. Vladivostok sits at the southern tip of the Muravyovo-Murski Peninsula, reaching out into the water like a desperate hand. It is wrapped around the deep, sheltered waters of Golden Horn Bay. This harbor is the reason the city exists. It is a natural sanctuary for ships, protected from the violent moods of the open ocean. Look closely at the geography, and you will see a paradox. This Russian city is closer to Seoul, Tokyo, and Beijing than it is to its own capital in Moscow. It is even closer to Anchorage, Alaska, than to the heart of European Russia. Does it feel like an outpost or a bridge? The terrain is a vertical challenge, a giant natural amphitheater where the seats are made of granite and concrete. Streets do not run straight here, they climb. They twist around slopes so steep that cars struggle to grip the pavement in the winter. From the top of Eagle's Nest Hill, the entire world seems to unfold beneath you. You see the masts of warships, the glow of cargo terminals, and the shimmering expanse of the Peter, the Great Gulf. The climate of this city is a masterclass in atmospheric violence. It is shaped by the collision of 2 worlds. To the west lies the vast, frozen heart of Siberia. To the east lies the restless, humid Pacific. In the winter, the Siberian high sends blades of dry, icy air slicing through the streets. Temperatures frequently drop to -20 degrees Celsius, but the wind makes it feel like -40. The sea freezes, turning the harbor into a landscape of jagged white plates. Then the seasons shift with a sudden heavy hand. Summer brings the monsoon. Dense, white fog rolls in from the sea, swallowing the skyscrapers and the bridges until the city vanishes. Humidity rises, and tropical storms drifting from the south bring torrential rains. It is a climate of extremes that tests the resolve of everyone who lives here. Would you be able to handle a morning of blinding sun, followed by an afternoon of impenetrable mist? This weather creates a unique rhythm of life. People here are hard, resilient, and accustomed to the unpredictable whims of nature. The birth of Vladivostok was an act of imperial ambition. In the middle of the 19th century, the Russian Empire looked toward the rising sun. Following the Treaty of Agun in 1858 and the Convention of Peking in 1860, Russia secured the Primorsky region. In July of 1860, a transport ship named the Mancha arrived in Golden Horn Bay. Ensigns and soldiers stepped onto the deserted shore to build a military post. They called it Vladivostok, a name that translates directly to ruler of the East. It was a bold claim for a tiny cluster of wooden huts, but the location was too strategic to remain a village for long. By 1871, the main base of the Siberian military flotilla was moved here. The transformation had begun. A remote frontier post was evolving into the principal naval bastion of the Russian Empire on the Pacific. Can you imagine the loneliness of those first sailors, watching the horizon for ships that might take months to arrive? The late 19th century brought the sound of hammers and the smell of coal smoke. The arrival of the Trans-Siberian Railway changed everything. Suddenly, the Pacific was no longer months away from Moscow, it was only weeks. This iron artery pumped life, money, and people into the city. Vladivostok became a boomtown, a chaotic mix of cultures and languages. Merchants from Germany, sailors from England, and adventurers from America walked the same docks as Russian peasants. But the most significant influence came from the neighbors. Tens of thousands of Chinese, Korean, and Japanese immigrants moved into the city. They built neighborhoods, started businesses, and became the backbone of the local economy. The Millionka district emerged as a legendary labyrinth of narrow alleys and crowded tenements. It was a city within a city, governed by its own rules and secret societies. Have you ever stood in a place where you could feel the weight of 1,000 different dreams competing for space? The year 1917 brought a fire that nearly consumed the city. The Russian Revolution and the following civil war turned Vladivostok into a global flashpoint. Because of its strategic port, it became the entry point for foreign intervention. Japanese, American, British, and French troops landed on these shores. The city was a kaleidoscope of conflicting ideologies and military uniforms. White Russian forces held onto the city as their last stronghold against the rising tide of the Red Army. It was a time of desperate luxury and looming tragedy. Spies operated in the shadows of the Grand Hotel, while refugees crowded onto departing ships. In October of 1922, the Red Army finally took control. The foreign fleets sailed away, and the Soviet era began. The multicultural mosaic of the Imperial years began to fade. The borders were tightening. The world was watching as the ruler of the East went silent. Under Soviet rule, Vladivostok became a forbidden city. For decades, it was the headquarters of the Pacific Fleet, a vital piece in the chess game of the Cold War. It was closed to all foreigners and even to most Soviet citizens who didn't have special permits. The city was turned into a fortress. Massive coastal batteries were built into the cliffs, and the hills were hollowed out to store ammunition and fuel. This isolation created a strange, preserved atmosphere. While the rest of the world was globalizing, Vladivostok was focused inward, on duty and defense. The architecture shifted from the ornate styles of the Tsars to the monumental gray of the Soviet Union. Large apartment blocks climbed the hillsides, providing housing for the thousands of sailors and factory workers. Despite the secrecy, the city expanded. It became an industrial powerhouse, processing the riches of the sea and the minerals of the far eastern earth. What secrets do you think are still hidden in the tunnels beneath these hills? The soul of the city is found in its multicultural ghost stories. Before the deportations of the 1930s, the Asian influence was everywhere. The Chinese community ran the markets, the Koreans farmed the nearby valleys, and the Japanese operated the sophisticated shops in the center. The Soviet government, fearing foreign influence, eventually dismantled these ethnic enclaves. The people were moved, and the neighborhoods were cleared. Yet, the essence of that diversity never truly left. You can see it in the architecture of the old trading houses. You can taste it in the local cuisine, which blends Russian staples with spices and techniques from the East. Today, the city is rediscovering this heritage. It is a painful but necessary process of reclaiming a lost identity. Is it possible for a city to forget its past, or does the land always remember who walked upon it? Geography dictated the layout of the city's heart. Svetlanskaya Street is the backbone of Vladivostok. It follows the curve of the bay, lined with buildings that reflect the confidence of the turn of the century. Here, the facades are decorated with neoclassical columns and intricate stone carvings. Just a few blocks away, the terrain rises sharply, leading to the funicular, one of only two in Russia. It carries passengers up the steep slope, offering a view that explains why this city is often compared to San Francisco. The bridges are the modern icons of the skyline. The Golden Horn Bridge, completed in 2012, spans the bay with its V-shaped pylons. The Russian bridge is even more ambitious, connecting the mainland to Russky Island. It is one of the longest cable-stayed bridges in the world. These structures are more than just transit routes. They are symbols of a city that is finally reaching out across the water again. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 was a second birth for Vladivostok. The closed city signs were taken down, and the world rushed back in. It was a period of wild, unregulated growth and significant hardship. For a time, the city became famous for the trade of used Japanese cars. Thousands of vehicles with right-hand drive were shipped across the sea, creating a unique driving culture where the steering wheel is on the wrong side of the road. Corruption and crime were rampant, but so was opportunity. International consulates returned. Foreign investment began to trickle into the port. The city was waking up from a long, state-imposed sleep. It had to learn how to be an international hub once again. Have you ever witnessed a place transform itself in the span of a single decade? The struggle for stability was long, but the trajectory was clear. Modern Vladivostok is a city of contrasts. It is a place where you can see a high-tech casino on one side of the bay and a 19th-century fortress on the other. The Eastern Economic Forum now brings world leaders here every year to discuss the future of the Pacific. The city is being rebranded as Russia's primary gateway to the Asia-Pacific region. There are new theaters, modern museums, and a growing tourism industry. Travelers come to stand at the end of the Trans-Siberian Railway, marking the end of a journey that spans 7 time zones. They explore the beaches of Russky Island, where the water is surprisingly clear and the forests are lush. Yet, the military presence remains. Grey destroyers and submarines still sit in the harbor, a reminder that this is still a strategic outpost. It is a city that lives between two worlds, never fully belonging to either. The economy of the region is tied to the sea and the ground. Fishing is a massive industry, with fleets bringing in crab, pollock, and salmon from the cold northern waters. The port is a constant hive of activity, moving timber, coal, and metal to the hungry markets of Asia. Logistics is the lifeblood of the city. As long as goods move between Europe and Asia, Vladivostok will have a purpose. But the new economy is also about technology and education. The Far Eastern Federal University on Russky Island is a massive campus designed to attract the best minds from across the continent. It is an investment in the future, an attempt to turn a military stronghold into a center of knowledge. How do you balance the needs of a modern economy with the heavy weight of a military history. The beauty of this place is often found in the small details. It is the way the light hits the water at sunset, turning the bay into a sheet of liquid gold. It is the sound of a foghorn echoing through the streets on a grey afternoon. It is the resilience of the people who walk up icy hills with a stoic determination. There is a sense of being at the edge of something immense. When you stand on the shore and look east, there is nothing but the vast Pacific. It is a humbling perspective. The city reminds us that borders are often just lines on a map, but the human spirit is what gives a place its character. Vladivostok is not just a point of transit. It is a destination where the soul is tested and the view is always worth the climb. As we look at the trajectory of this Pacific metropolis, we see a lesson in adaptation. Vladivostok has been a frontier post, an international boomtown, a revolutionary battlefield, a secret fortress, and a modern gateway. It has survived empires and ideologies. The lesson for us is simple: change is the only constant, and resilience is the only response. We must learn to navigate the shifting fogs of our own lives with the same steadiness as a captain in Golden Horn Bay. The world is large, and our place in it is often determined by our willingness to stand at the edge and look forward. Are you willing to embrace the extremes of your own journey? What part of Vladivostok's complex history surprised you the most? Is it the hidden tunnels of the Soviet era or the multicultural chaos of the Imperial boomtown? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey to the edge of the Pacific, please give this video a like and share it with someone who loves history and travel. Your support helps us continue to bring these stories to life. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an exploration of our world's most fascinating places. The world is full of wonders if only you know where to look. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next story.